Packing the courts. What does it mean? What will it do? Well, I've got an article from the Heritage Foundation. We'll go through and I'll explain it, but it's very simple. I mean, we have 9 Supreme Court justices. Democrats are angry that Trump is now appointing 3 of them, giving a serious conservative majority to the court. Packing the court would mean that they would pass a resolution, a bill, to increase the number of justices on the court so they can just start adding justices to flip the court liberal. This would be devastating for the republic, our country. Why? Imagine it this way. Democrats win the Senate and the presidency, granting them the power to pack the courts. They then decide to add 4 justices, pushing the court to what would that put it at? That would put it at 13 justices. And if they added 4, it would be a 7-6 liberal majority. That's what they'd like to see. They want control back. Okay. In response to this outrage, a couple of years go by, and then Republicans win the Senate and the presidency. And so they decide to pack the courts even more. And then the court ends up with 500 judges, and it's just a back and forth. Or theoretically, the Republicans vote to remove seats. I guess they could. That would involve impeaching a justice, I suppose. So it's more likely they're just going to keep adding seats back and forth until there is no Supreme Court. What a dumb idea. Well, Joe Biden is probably going to pack the courts if he wins, which will devastate this country. And the Democrats already did in 2013 when Harry Reid used the nuclear option, making it so that a simple majority was required to get a Supreme Court member on the court. Now Trump has been able to appoint 3. That's the Democrats' fault. Do not let them do this. When asked, Joe Biden said, I'm not going to answer that question, because then it'll be the only thing you see on TV, that question. Okay. I mean, he's right. If he says he's going to pack the courts, people are going to revolt, and it will hurt him a lot. So he won't answer it, because he'd be lying if he said he wouldn't do it. And if he said he wasn't going to pack the court, then all of these progressive left would revolt in outrage. Thus, Joe Biden's best bet is to not answer. But Joe Biden said possibly the most psychotic thing a presidential candidate could ever say, in that the voters don't deserve to know what I'm going to do once I'm elected. Give me the power and I'll do whatever I want, and I won't tell you now. That's insane. If you're going to run for office and you want my vote, you better tell me what your plan is. Now, I'm going to assume you're all lying, Trump included, but I want to know what you're talking about. At the very least, I can say Trump really does mean what he wants to do. He's trying really hard to uphold his promises, whether you like them or not. He wears his mind on his sleeve and he blurts out things like, we're in Syria guarding the oil. And I'm like, oh, geez, dude, this guy. Hey, but I'll take it. I'll take the honesty, huh? And look, Trump's not the most honest guy in the world. I'm not going to play games. Trump lies. The media lies a lot, too, and so does Joe Biden. So it's not surprising to me. John Cooper tweeted this. There was a journalist who asked Joe Biden. He said, I have to ask you this because it is it is a question that my viewers want to know. Will you pack the courts? And you know what Joe Biden's response was? Well, they're probably Republican viewers. Excuse me? How dare you? Liberals might want to know because they support it. Well, he said, the journalist said, don't the viewers deserve to know? I'm sorry, don't the voters deserve to know? And Joe Biden said, no, they don't deserve. Look, listen. Whoa. They don't deserve to know? Donald Trump's a lot of things. He's a bombastic and arrogant individual. And I've called him a lot of names. I'm not going to pretend like I'm voting for the guy because, if I had my choice of like the best president ever, it probably wouldn't be anybody. I couldn't even think of a person. But I really like these peace deals. I really like this withdrawing troops. You know this. You've heard me say it over and over and over again. But I don't think Trump is a lesser of two evils. I think he's just kind of a nasty guy. And, I'll take what I can get in the foreign policy that he's doing because it's a good thing. Wasn't always perfect. He's improved a lot. He fired John Bolton. Hey, I like that. Joe Biden, warmonger president, doesn't think you have a right to know? That to me is scary. Would you really vote for somebody who would say that? Let me tell you something. RNC Research. The New York Times' Alexa Burns. Senator Harris told me in an interview, actually, that she was absolutely open to packing the Supreme Court. What does that mean? The Heritage Foundation says why court packing would be devastating to our republic. Key takeaways. Well, America's founders sought to separate the judiciary from politics Court packing deliberately brings them together. 2, failure to end debate is a filibuster. The filibuster has been part of the Senate's legislative process since the turn of the 19th century. Packing the court will only ever yield short-term political victories at the cost of long-term health of our republic. My friends, I think our country is breaking down. I know, maybe it's a little bombastic, maybe it's a bit aggressive to say, but think about it. There was a reason why you needed a 2/3 majority to get things done in the Senate. It required negotiation between Democrats and Republicans, and it required people to vote for somebody who could get the job done. If you've got a far left or progressive, someone like Kamala Harris, they call her the most liberal in Congress, not because she's far left, she kind of is, but because she won't negotiate with Republicans. So Bernie Sanders, he will, and we want that. Imagine if the Senate came in and they said, we want to pass this bill. Well, you need 60 votes. Then you're going to have to start negotiating with some of these Democrats to figure out who can, who will agree with you. So you'll find some moderate Democrat who will say, okay, I'll vote yes on your bill if you make these changes. That's good for the country. The debate. Well, they got rid of that. And the Democrats got rid of that with the 50. Now it's a simple majority, 51 votes to get through Supreme Court nominees. Thus, Trump has gained 3 conservative judges, causing the left to lose their minds. I actually think Donald Trump has chosen some fairly look, Gorsuch is a kind of a moderate guy. Kavanaugh and Gorsuch have ruled against Trump, I believe, more than once. And Amy Coney Barrett is not considered to be the staunchest of staunch conservatives in terms of how she's ruled in the past. In fact, they say that she would be kind of close to the middle of the conservative justices, being to the left of 2 of them. Not extremely conservative. She is religious, however. I believe she's a textualist, and her stance is, I'm not sure how, it's called stare decisis, basically. My understanding is that she feels if it's been ruled upon, you leave it the way it is. But she does believe we should interpret the Constitution as it was intended. So what I see happening if we move forward with packing the courts is further erosion of our government, of our country. The Senate and Congress are already broken. Gerrymandering is already a problem. I don't know how you get around gerrymandering, to be completely honest. And I'll tell you this. Did you know that non-citizens have voting power in U.S. presidential elections? Now, already I can hear the left saying Tim's pushing a conspiracy theory. No. If you are not a citizen and you live in California, they count you on the census as a resident, even if you're an illegal immigrant, because they wouldn't let Trump put the citizenship question on the form. That means non-citizens, illegal immigrants, will be added to the number. That means we will apportion funding and congressional seats and electoral votes, which include non-citizens. California, I believe I read, gets like 1 or 2 extra seats and votes based on their non-citizen population. If we got rid of that, it would shift a lot to others. It would shift a few of the votes around. I don't think it would have the biggest of impacts, but it is important to note that's the case. In which case, we have a serious problem. Being a citizen means something. You pay taxes, you have a social security card, you get an ID, and you're held accountable to this country. If you're not a citizen of this country, you get deported to your country to be held to account in that country. But there are actual congressional votes based upon people who are not even citizens. I guess it makes sense to varying degrees based on permanent residents, but not illegal immigrants, people who came here in violation of the law. I think permanent residents, someone with a green card, it might make sense, because you're not a citizen, but you do live here as a permanent resident. You're working here. You do have you do have rights, in my opinion. Now, you can't vote, but that person still has to look out for you. I mean, you live here. That's fair. That's human rights. And it is true that anybody who comes here is protected by the Constitution, even if you're illegal. It's something that a lot of people on the right might not be familiar with. The Constitution protects everybody. So, and tourists especially. I see us walking towards I'll put it this way. The Constitution is Swiss cheese. The First Amendment is Swiss cheese. Second Amendment, Swiss cheese. The Fifth, the Fourth, they're being torn apart and crapped all over. The courts are now being crapped all over. The Senate's been crapped all over. These institutions, I suppose, could only last so long unless they are strengthened and bolstered somehow. I don't exactly know how we do it, but I do know one of the fastest ways to dissolve our country would be to elect Joe Biden. I know that the Democrats are probably going to say no to that, but if they pack the courts, it will just delegitimize the courts. because then Republicans will do the same. It'll be a tit for tat every few years, more and more judges being added until the Supreme Court just doesn't matter anymore. And we're already heading that direction. The left wants that. The far left, I should say, the revolutionary types. And there's a lot of them. They're growing. And that to me spells, I guess, trouble for the rest of us. So I'm not going to tell you to go prep or anything like that. I'm just going to tell you to pay attention, stay vigilant, and be prepared that things may start to break down. It's possible Trump wins. And if he does, then depending on the scale of the election, if Joe Biden wins in a landslide, that will be a hard course correct for many Americans, because all of a sudden you're going to see brands, major corporations doubling down on anything a Democrat says. If Donald Trump wins in a landslide, like a Reagan landslide, that will end this woke cult nonsense, hands down. The companies will start to realize it was a bad idea, it didn't work, and they're on the wrong side of history. I don't know who's on the wrong side of history. Whatever. If you voted for Jimmy Carter, you're on the wrong side of history, right? If you voted for H.W. Bush, you're on the wrong side of history, but so be it. I guess we'll just, as I always say, see how it plays out. I think Biden's dangerous, though. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up tomorrow at 10 a.m. Thanks for hanging out, and I will see you all next time.